Ena Tumarangi Terang der Pepi Matamala Jackie Delaxioi.
First of all, I would like to extend my greetings today to all of you.
Nga Terang the Mugu Kacha the Shachu Korko Kampan Teta Tukaga, Tanuting, Hajang Range Gaga, Chinik Kampan Teta Tuka Sonjina, Taranila, Shawag, Gogan is on te, Tatati or Teshi Gyamtsen member Mangainere.
I'm so happy to have this opportunity given by Trust Foundation. It's been quite a story, and all my work began and started with the Trust Foundation. So I'm so pleased to have this opportunity.
Chapter Machu Hoptazini, Hopta Japchurshi, Matsan, Chu Kanjong Tachi, Toucher of Tandasi, and then from Kajina, Da Andrea Muki, Miss such a tape. Team Matsuni Kiki, Mawana, woman of Transi, Nitse, Shajian, Mawana, woman of Transinam, it's a Japchursh in the Yosi. Team Matsini, Hoptazirita, she captured my member, Loni Matse, Tanko, woman of Trandi, Homa Jibja Kala, the Unimatse, of John Gutumdina, she Pansam Tokaton, Terangan Derjili, Da Andrea Sushi, competitors of all the Katanjin.
In particular, I would like to express my great and most profound attitude to Andrea and the Trust Foundation. And because of her and the Trust Foundation support, we had established a school, a Tibetan school in Tibet, and we, through the past years, and we achieved a quite deal of achievement, and now we have more than 400 students. So everything in the good progress.
Tena da terang shachu so wokche biji jinchung gniwa dambi romi rigni se kono nginde kapshanga tamudu tagne tena da nginde so shachu da wokk romi ni se de shachire tena di shotani da jinchung tapi biji se kono da nga rani 그게 당장당 그 찬이 셨지나 다 진종한데라 양 드가라 진종 탑그 장나라 진종지요 그 나나라 진종지요 그 요크란 디 진종한데 아잔라 판바요누 nd종 진종주 너 소르는 거부터 삼고 그 판바가 찬이라 니급 그 판바당 예능 그 판바 니요 비나니 예능라 판바 제와니 제로 판바 차버트 올 무르크 찬이 셨지나 팀리치 치니크 람진데 코르추 시용군 마와나 예능도 그게 디땅 한바 탐치때 판이 너무 간당 적고 저마도 니급장 그 한바란 당장문인 것도 상고요.
Today my topic will be based on the understanding of sustainable development in Tibet. My main focus is Tibetan nomadic Tibetan and their life. When we talk about the sustainable development in Tibet, and particularly in Tibetan nomads, so I would like to share how I think, my understanding about the definition of how to define this sustainable development. In general, when we talk about sustainable development, this notion of sustainable development can be applied to the bad situation or to the good situation, or the positive and the negative way. It goes both ways. Because we can sustainable and develop the bad or negative thing, and as well as we can do the use this term apply or use in the positive way as well. Well, I'm talking about my understanding about sustainable development in Tibet and Tibetan nomadic life, nomads, is that it has to be focused on the benefits, okay? And it's not the idea about the sustainable development itself, but the essence is whether it is beneficial, is helpful or not. Not just beneficial and help, but temporarily also has to be and cover the long term and the benefits as well. Furthermore, it's just even from lifetime to lifetime, based on the Tibetan understanding of a dependent arising, the philosophical point of view of a dependent arising.
这通送过去过。
对那大我看到全用个这个参加进来了，你个前提下进来全用个忙起去的实力所有你怎么个没得事的。
So we talk about Tibetan area, Tibetan region, and of course that's quite large and this huge and place. And 这个是我的参加全部当。
다 저도 놀리니 너무 그没得事的。
So the characteristic of a Tibetan the region and the lifestyle is herding, raising animal.
대단한 거 대랑 세춘도 소 워크 로미니스데 대단한 이 름바 섬터까지 지금 워크 소진도 치즈기다디 다르고 소진 그 머르는 시인 소이다오니 나라 니그 자네 세진은 땅급 그 니부치 모르겠나 섬그 자니 마음하나 치즈기 접고니나 이 세주 소도 인.
So I would like to talk about within the framework of a Tibetan nomadic life, and I would like to share my thoughts through the three different topics. First of all, the custom of a Tibetan nomad, and secondly, the current status of Tibetan nomads, and lastly, future approach and solutions.
대단한 그 로큰디 동호 랑근 고릭 송집 그 느히티 자니 올 머가 따뜻이 모두 그디다나 마랑근 송까지나 송그 뉴 니츠기 자니 샤지나 올 머그 카페야 조카 사만 너무 지셨던 거 고는 댄사 빠나긴 빠나 댄사 빵빠인 진도 뭐 카페에서 그 대인당난 디 카페인디 또
So you wanted to explain and share my understanding about the customs of Tibetan nomads life, and I would like to begin with the Tibetan understanding of environment protection. Tibetans has a unique understanding about the environment protection, and personally, I also have a lot of experience, and there is actually an idiom or saying in Tibetan in Tibet. What do we say that the black-headed Tibetans who depend on the black fur or black hair, the farm animals, and the black-haired or furred animals who depend on the hairs of the ground, which is grass.
다 받쳐를 샷당 다 가래. 이단 사던디 조던 그 소우트 랑아 소화 잠즈 담즈 마임브른 디 잡종이 소우 쳐서 샷고 그지다나 랑그 뭐 서당 세나라 디 사진 땅아 아니요 그 니오 땅나 사진 더땅 등 저거 뭐 할건 돼요. 마음와는 너니가 그게 띵성적 그 찍찍가 그게 띵이다 너무 그 조던 소위 달리 샷고는 디젠 그 랑그 소아양 때때는 소고가라 랑그때 송주명 예군은 더히트 람바젠트 딱 그게 송주땅 웹주니가 송주시 곱주시군은 던 선택군을 했어.
And this idiom is not just the talks about or and thinks about the life itself, and but it's rather and reveals the profound the notion or understanding about the environmental protection. because we humans, after all, has to depend on the ground or environment. Our life is relying on the environment, and the environment and our lifestyle is interdependent. So we use the environment, but at the same time also we have to know how to protect the environment. So the use and the protection must be combined.
대단나 워크 럭석의 차니샤지나 따티 와르트 그게 니포리 야르근 동성 그 디순다 땅더니 디수 그게 과거 땅 양나 제르니 디 니츠 땅더니 달리 신소군이 너무 그게 소진운이 너무 그래서
The lifestyle, the traditions of Tibetan nomads is depend on the changes for 4 seasons, and so it's pretty much the depend on the environment and the
말에 근데 조리 사도 전부 이거는 책이 좀 나오는 데 그게 니스탄 때니다니 다 그게 거리 성집당 제리다니 신소.
So the way the nomads, Tibetan nomads farm animal or raising herding the animal is not just according to the changes for season, and also based on they adjust based on the changes of the locality and also the temperature and as well as the unique local conditions.
니 정도니다 랑게 그게 소환 소르던 거 자니 거리가 막는니 다 쨌던 거리가 막는 그게 감마르다는 니 쇼케는 원 머리 다운 성까지나 그게 로동적 망어가 니 냠냠 질리 제성 소환 소르던 거 자니 자지나 다 그게 사고는 쳤던 통고는 너무들 막도 양 그게 대 그게 송주 찻지라 사라 그게 삼큰 그냥 사조 그게 찻지고니 너무 그디 찰 랑진도 그게 랑 고적시트고니 너무 그래서
So nomadic over the 1,000 years and experience, and they come to understood that how to they live and then according to the weather or the locations and the environment type of the environment they dwell in. So their life is basically without harming the environment and try to make the livelihood. So in this regard, they have a lot of experience, like the animals, not just feed them the grass and lead them to the river to drink the water, but at the same time also they have understand about how to limit and how to adjust and according to the changes and according to the conditions. So therefore, and they have a very rich experience and in terms of how to manage the environment protection and at the same time to make a happy life.
내 그게 대담지면서 그게 송축 그 차니셨지나라 다 산대 그게 잔사 년사 다 그게 신전라서 너무 사가 그게 남바 멍아 구체송이 내사 년사니 그게 사로문이 사 잔사니 그게 양 치지 가스 로고나 양 그게 주의 탑다 그게 소라 양 촉들 얼라 럽상 딘로가다 저는 살라 삭들라서 너무 그 주의 탑던데 그게 송축시피 그게 너희 하정 거 너무 편심속과 멍아지고 그래도 안돼 그렇게 샤림 고르조고 막 하정 거 정도 동탄 바람 그 소리나 너무 멍아지고 그래
냐사스나 좀 거보다
다 너시 아니엔 하정 냐사들 올라 냐사들 나타더니 사즈가 lok당나 인카운 좀 나한테 치즈고 잔살이다
So again, and in the context of Tibetans reach nomadic nomads, the rich experience with environment protection. for instance, like the mountain, the way they regard mountain or the set of the relationship with the mountain is again according to various the characters of the mountain. For instance, there's a mountain and considered the dwells of local spirits, or as it's the forest and covered by forest, or then considered as the mine, there's a treasure grounded and possessing the treasure. So that according to this and the mountains and the Rocky Mountains and how they what's the character of it and what they're possessing, and so they adjusted again and react accordingly. So because of this understanding, the way to use it, just not simply and to dig it and use it. They will see that this place and because it's considered the local and the home for the local spirits or deities, and they will. In terms of the use, they probably will before they take action, they will perform a ritual and fire and puja ritual, and to please the local deity. And in terms of use the water, again they have the ritual. And so suppose it is locally based on their experience, and something has to be considered before the actual user. So under the treasure and mountains, and before they use it, again they will perform the ritual accordingly. And all this, and I have a lot to share, but because time and maybe should cut short.
On the Dalita low Mosgarang Sonship Town Wipchiniga Sonship in the moon, the Higoni, so I chatting so Kazidana, Tarti water, Rang Karang Si Danuga, the Mugamari series.
So because of this, and Tibetans, they used the land, and also they protected, be able to successfully protect their land. And furthermore, and as a unique character of Tibetan way of life, and up to today, and the Tibetan nation, they be able to self-sufficiently live self-sufficiently.
They don't swag Sortang Chanisha Genera, that rung Kage, Sagani rung, Tonkon the Wipchushi Chirisoni, Chamten Chana Unzicton, you will mark it down to Gachina, rung Sa, Che, Hung, and the time to cook Chichiga cooking, John, the time to cook Gantung, Tambanam, Jok Chik the Daddy, Zixtin, Chemu Yin, Chemungona Yin, the Muzik Jehan Joamato, the Mukaki, young Jean Luc Yoni. That Tankum Sonkachina, Chektang, Andam and that you Chektang that you do Nigamantana, Andam Kagi, Jerry Diona, young lawyers and good Tatoki, Sargio Patamurator. They could get Rango, Wool Murican di Chanishachina, Nukagan, Timban, Nam Stick the Jerry Cherson, Yananga Kaki, Chimun Gornara, Attack Taja Yajimini, Gyamtsen Muzares, Lamdishi.
In terms of the development, such as build a house, other infrastructures, and so on and so forth, the Tibetans has a very unique understanding and how to reacted and acting according to the natures of elements, and so not just simply they use it, but according to the characters of the elements, and to make sure that everything is keep in a harmony, and so therefore, and like they build a house, and the house being built, and the material they use is based on their understanding about the environment. So therefore, the stones and the wood, and so itself in the very much with a good understanding. So therefore, the house they build up is not strong and good for the health and harmonious with the environment, but also last for a long time. And so therefore, when they build the house, and they're not thinking just using it for now, but for a long term.
그 사니 랑그 다와 쿨라 속았던 탁접시 제리 성향 랑그 고추시비 다 징그 곤치라 속아 너무도 요노 인천이 오마당 체라라 속아 너 그게 랑그 통통 때에 주시 제리 더 그게 소화형 때 된다.
So then locally, and the Tibetans who, in terms of the clothing, and so they use and they take the material, raw material, and they make clothes out of the animal skins and animal fur, and then the food and the daily supplies, and they use the like milk and cheese and the butters and from the animals.
딘초거단 저팅 그 잔이 자지나라 랑그 로 멍어 냠뇽 땅 양나 종lik 그 잡된 이유는 너무 그게 가나 때니 제리 랑그 사가니 그 만살라 때니 너무 그게 만지시 주그 탑대 때니 대인 소고 그랬어.
So in terms of health again, and that Tibetans have a profound medical theory, and so they practice and the way they treat the disease or healing and the patients is according to the local and the situation and local condition through the Tibetan medical understanding about health.
그다 홉소 그 총리기 찬이샤 지나라 다 랑그 사니 때라 모난 총가에 지나 랑라 김코 요노도 랑그 사니 있더니 더 그게 뉴아당 종주라서 반도무고 다 자막도 파치 랑그 소와도 랑그더니 총리한테는 코르치셨더니 너무가 남바요니요 그스.
Now in terms of the business or manufacturing, Tibetans again in Tibet had a unique way to manage. For instance, like they manufacture the products which they manufacture is very much based on the local needs and local conditions, and so they produce and the locally and they use locally, except for the tea, and every single thing is pretty much local.
그다 홉소긴 배름기 잔이샤지나 다올 머르크 홉소인데 다소다 mon치 샤지나 다 이토코 홉소더라 마토코 홉소 너무가 샤타나 조금 더 찍겠다 뭐 나까니 요 커스.
Now with regard to the education, the Tibetans again have its own unique way of education. So generally speaking, the Tibetan education can be divided to the education and the oral education and the institution education.
그다 이토코 홉소도 소다 곰바니 아니고 그다 소 곰바레 다는 그게 쳇속통나리 요크라 곰바 그게 홉소기 잔이샤지나 다 르크니 입절라서 관도문데 그게 쉐그 르그니 나한진 랑그 다치 르그니 쉐라 따피시 쪽소도 곰바나 니고 그스.
So the institution and education of the institution or through the routine language or based on the routine language primarily is invented by monastic monasteries and is pretty much oriented and located and preserved by the monastery members of monastery.
그 나토코 홉소 선지나 다 쳇속도 땅니 다 그게 라마 기위신인 땅 양나 쳇속은 기 망하고 다 나토니 다 홉소던 거 그래서.
So the oral education is carried out or invented and passed down by the eminent masters, Buddhist scholars, and as well as the lay scholars and educated people.
다 월머르크 홉소 나토이나 이토이나 건게나 뇽오 제와 마시요노 리 점지요노 인토거다 틴 쇼르 치탐체다 찌라 틴 달리 쇼고노 토마토 아랑크르키 치 케레랑게 케레니다오니 토모도메노 너 그게 형오이다리 다 먹게 쫄아 홉소던 거 그래서.
The essence of the Tibetan nation's education is basically marked by the idea or understanding of law of causality and the ideas of reincarnation or life after death, and then and they pretty much and depend on they understand the of the dependent arising. And so for them, for the Tibetans, the life is not just a single and a segment, or it's a single piece, but it's very much dependent upon the others and the conditions and factors.
다 오크 제거니 지나 랑거 다 삼루 덕히 지나 좋고 단 소화근 소탕 지나 좋고 안더 제거 잡종 잠즈 대삼지래. 대인당나다 땅급 내 그렇게 제로아당 니스 첨부들이나.
So this is the main character or the situation, the conditions of the Tibetan way of life, or the conditions of life.
다치 하나샤는 울 머리다 울 머리 손지나 랑거 다치 그 소환 소탕 때라 녹과이나라 그게 너무 그 소탕 저래더라 땅급 저거 거기 당나다 사차다가 니 프로젝트면아 니 단치기다지 하나 너무 그게 제송아 니 단치기다서 니 단치기다나 다 그게 약다 야르긴 통신 그 디춘데 그게 뿌린 조주라 니 그게 남반대요 매너가 없어서